intelligent people do not assume to know what will make them truly happy. We can't just assume that we know what is going to make us happy. We can't just assume that getting that job or signing that client or dating that person or getting married or moving to that place or looking that way is going to be it. At one point, Christmas made a lot of us more happy than it does now. At one point, a birthday party made us feel a lot more happy than it does now. If money made you happy when you were broke, the same amount of money is not going to make you happy when you're rich. Emotionally intelligent people do not assume being fearful is a sign that they are on the wrong path. A sign that you're on the wrong path is indifference. If you are fearful about something, that is not a sign that you're on the wrong path. You're being pushed towards something. That's intention. Who knows if it always will be the right thing? What we do know is that you're on the right path. It might not lead to exactly where you want, but you're going into a direction you know you need to go into. They know that happiness is a choice, but do not feel they need to make that choice all the time. Happiness is not a sustained state of joy. Being happy is moment by moment. If you were only experiencing one emotion all the time, then that's not living. You're not living. You're just in existence. Living the human experience means that you experience all the emotions. And you should allow yourself to say, I'm not in a happy state right now. Emotionally intelligent people know that a feeling will not kill them. You're not going to die because you're angry. You're only going to die if you start doing stupid things because you're angry. Emotionally intelligent people do not confuse a bad feeling for a bad life. When you fight the bad feeling, when you fight the bad day, that is anything but peaceful. If you just come to grips with this is just not a good day for me. It's not my day. I got bad news. I lost a client. Somebody hit the back of my car on the way to the gym, and I just want to go home, go to sleep, and start this one over tomorrow. That's part of life. If I'm fighting against that bad day, that bad feeling, I'm causing a war within myself. You're able to have peace when you just accept it. This is a bad stretch of life, or this is a bad day, or this is a bad week. These are bad feelings. But this doesn't make it a bad life.
We're
What's going
live.
on? Live and alive. All you come in this morning. All you come in. Good morning. Good morning. All right.
Good morning.
Are you on camera this morning?
Yeah, feeling like I'm looking a little bit more presentable these days.
More presentable? What, you been going to the gym or something?
Maybe.
Well, congratulations. Good for you, man.
How are you on this fine morning?
I am fantastic. So I'm having an issue with my camera, so I'm using the laptop camera because the other
Oh, it looks
camera,
fine.
the other camera wasn't connecting.
I feel you. Looks fine though. Don't worry about it. I was doing some reflection this morning and the question popped in my head. I was like, I think I should ask you too, because I gave it some thought. And I wanted to ask you because I never asked you anything similar to this before, or even this question. So, yeah. If you could swap bodies, Jay, with somebody for 24 hours, who would it be and
I
why?
wouldn't swap bodies for somebody for 24 hours.
Based off their influence or the change that you can make.
No, but I wouldn't swap bodies because ain't nobody getting this body. So if I swap bodies, then that means they
Oh,
get,
all right. Well, if you could,
this one can stay here and chill out.
yeah.
So if I could look like somebody,
Or if you could gain their position or their influence.
Donald
It's
Trump,
basically the same kind of
Donald
question.
Trump,
I thought about that one.
I just walk around and just start saying a bunch of great things about black people and women, and right away they'd be like, "What's going on? Is he going to see now?"
The one that I came up with, and this might change, but the one I came up with was the Pope.
Which
I
one?
feel like a lot of people still look up to the
Which one
Pope
though?
The one that's currently in power, because that's the one that has power right now. The one that's currently in position.
Oh yeah, but aren't you Catholic?
I am
That's
Roman
why.
Catholic. Yeah. So, I feel like, a lot of people and a lot of churches, especially in Jamaica, they do look up to the Pope, and they a part of the donations that these are the collections that these church uh, gathered, they go towards all that stuff in the Pope. And I feel like people still don't really understand what the Pope represents, and um, I feel like they are that whole section of the church is stuck in their ways, and I feel like it hasn't been representing God and Jesus in the right way too. So I feel like I could maybe help in that way.
I got you.
Yeah.
Are you just saying that because he's American now? You want to get a visa or something?
No. And what?
Anyways,
Also,
being,
because I'm a Jamaican, I have visa issues.
I don't know. Do you?
Nah, I'm good.
All right. Good morning, Maria. Good morning, Aretha. Good morning, Codex. Reels in my head. Good morning. Happy Thursday to you. Conversation with J moderators. Good morning. And Win column moderators. Good morning. Good morning to everybody. We're going to be pretty quick this morning. I didn't take many notes this morning because it wasn't really much. I've read this book so many times, and I tried to take as much notes as I could as if I was reading it for the first time. So the book that I was reading this morning is Winning. This is a really good chapter. It's about being selfish. And so what he says in this book is winning requires selfishness. That's what he says in this book. Winning requires selfishness. He also says being selfish really just has a bad rap, and that we should all be selfish. So I want to explore that because, especially in the beginning, I did not agree with that. In the beginning of this book, I still kind of don't agree with it, but I get where he's going with it, and I agree to a point that he makes some good points, and there's not really much individual points that I disagree with. It's just the whole entire be selfish thing that I disagree with, primarily because I think that people take that the wrong way oftentimes, and they use those things as an excuse to be an asshole. So for me, I don't like to give people an out, right? And so that's the reason why I disagree with the way it's phrased. But the overall premise here is absolutely correct. So I'm going to just go through a little bit of it for you. The first thing I did write was being selfish has a bad rap. The second thing I wrote was, what do we describe as selfish, right? I wrote these words: egocentric, self-centered, vain, conceited, self-absorbed, what I just said, an a-hole. That to me, that stuff is what people oftentimes describe as somebody who is selfish, right? It's all about me, 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 me. Okay. Forget about you. So what you gonna do. And shout out to 90s R&B. All right. So now that we understand that these are what people call people who what they would say is selfish, let's talk about a story that he used in this book. He used the story of Scottie Pippen. Now, for those of you guys who do not know who Scottie Pippen is, he was a basketball player. He's retired now. And he essentially was Michael Jordan's running mate. They played together for all of the championships that both of them won. They both won 6 championships. And he played alongside Michael Jordan. He was basically a Robin to Michael Jordan's Batman. However, there was a time before their 6th championship where Scottie Pippen probably should have been the second highest paid player in the league. But because he signed a contract that was unfavorable at the time, he just wanted to go with the guaranteed money. He was actually one of the lowest paid players in the league. He was in the bottom half of how much he was getting paid. And because of as much as he was bringing to the team, he said to ownership, he said, I want to renegotiate my contract. Like, I'm bringing way more to the table now, and I only signed that for the guaranteed money at the time, but now you could see my value. I want to, negotiate my contract, renegotiate, let me out so I can renegotiate and make more money. It's only fair. And Jerry Krause, who's the general manager at the time, and ownership told Scottie Pippen, kick rocks, bro. You signed the contract at that time, and so that is what it is. And it reminded me when he was going through that story. It reminded me of another contract negotiation that actually happened with me. There was a time when I signed my first real estate contract. When I first started in real estate, I was just a kid, and I started with this team. When I signed with this team, basically I got a pretty crappy contract. And I found out later on that somebody else on the team, I was the first person to ever sign with the team. And I found out somebody else who signed after me had way better terms in their agreement. We were talking about stuff, and they mentioned something, and I was like, no, because we get whatever. And then he was like, no, I get this. And I was like, how do you get that? And I get this, whatever. So I was pretty pissed off. And also that person that was hired after me, that person also, well, not hired because you're an independent contractor, but you guys know what I mean. The person that joined the team after me, he was also a good friend of theirs. So I confronted them about it, and I said, yo, what the heck is this, man? And they go, well, he got the contract that he negotiated for, and you got the contract that you negotiated for. And I go, what do you mean negotiated for? Like, you guys put a contract in front of me and said, hey, so this is how we start, and I signed it. And he said to me, and I'll never forget this lesson. He said, you're a great guy, and we have a good relationship. I consider you a friend. You consider me a friend. I said, of course. Right? I've gone to these guys' house, like everything. They hired my little cousin, like a lot of, like, we were like a family. And they said to me, however, when we're negotiating for a contract, it's not my job to negotiate for you to get you a good contract. It's my job to negotiate on behalf of the team to make sure the team gets a good contract. And it's your job to negotiate for yourself. And if you didn't negotiate for yourself, then that was on you. And once your contract expires after 2 years, then you could renegotiate. And it was a very, very, very painful but valuable lesson. Nobody is going to negotiate for you. You have to negotiate your own value for yourself. Speaking of selfish, right? You got to choose yourself in these contracts. In these agreements, Jordan Peterson also has something in his book, 12 Rules for Life. He says, excuse me, as our job, it is our duty in any relationship that we have with a loved one, a spouse, a romantic interest, a friend, anything like that, that we speak up and let them know. Well, the way he says it is that we argue just as much for what we desire as they do. Otherwise, they become the tyrant and you become the slave. So you got to speak up. You got to say what is on your mind, not in a disrespectful way, but if it's something that you like, you tell them, I really enjoy this. Thank you so much for that. This means a lot to me. And if it's something you don't like, you say, I don't appreciate that. Can we please not do this anymore? Right? You have to have those conversations. If you don't, then one becomes a slave and the other becomes a tyrant. I digress. Let's get back to Scottie Pippen. Scottie Pippen got injured that season when he was trying to renegotiate his contract. And when he got injured, he needed to have surgery. So usually what a player will do is they'll have surgery on the off season so that by the time the season starts again, he's able to be ready for the season. He waited until the season started purposely and then healed during the season. So he missed a bunch of games during the season because he said, you know what, you guys want to do that contract stuff to me? Well, I'll heal on company time. Thing is, in basketball, you have teammates. So you're not only punishing management, but you're also punishing your teammates. And although many of his teammates stuck up for him and said, yeah, I get what he's doing, you know, I do the same thing too. Management's, you know, they don't pay me enough either. Many teammates did have that sentiment. However, Michael Jordan did not. Michael Jordan was pissed, and Michael Jordan said, you're being selfish. Okay, you chose a contract. Yes, you're right. You're underpaid. However, we're trying to win a six championship. This is the last year Phil Jackson's going to be the coach. I might retire after this year. This is the last dance. This is the last hurrah. You guys go watch the Last Dance documentary. It's all in there. And then you're basically being a punk about this and jeopardizing our chances to win this last championship because you're upset about your contract. That has nothing to do with us on the team. Rah, back and forth, whatever. Fast forward to the end, Scottie Pippen comes back. They win. They win the championship. But at that moment, Scottie Pippen was probably calling the management. He was probably saying they're egocentric, self-centered, vain, conceited, and self-absorbed. And the management and players like Michael Jordan were saying, Scottie Pippen, you're egocentric, self-centered, vain, conceited, and self-absorbed. And in the end, they both chose themselves. If you haven't watched it's almost like watching that. That's this album, if you experience this album, it's actually almost like watching the album. But there's an album called Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers by Kendrick Lamar. It's not his last album. It's the album before his last album. So his last album, I believe, was GNX. And then the album before that was Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. He has Kodak Black in that album. And Kodak Black says, I choose me. And the album is about Kendrick Lamar essentially choosing himself. He didn't come out with an album for, I think, 3 years, something like that, 3 or 4 years, maybe longer. He did release music, but he didn't come out with an album for a good bit. Good morning, Christina. So he didn't come out with an album for that time. And essentially, by the way, Christina, I saw your comment the other day when we were talking about education. Hey, me and you both, I went 1 year in university and that was it. And then I jumped into real estate at 20 years old. Just freshly 20. So yes, me and you both. I just didn't get a chance on the live to shout it out. Okay. In that album, it's all about Kendrick Lamar saying, I had to go away from music. Yeah, the fans are important. I know I wanted to give them an album and so on and so forth, but I needed to spend time with my family. I needed to spend time with myself, my wife, whatever, my kids. And basically, the album was about his journey of self-realization, self-development, human development on a whole, altogether. All right. Okay. So everybody's calling everybody selfish in that moment. Okay. However, winning doesn't care. That's what he says in the book, right? Winning doesn't care. Okay. Winning is selfish, and winning wants you to be selfish and choose you. Okay. The book gives some examples. The book says it's also selfish when a person leaves a business meeting after 90 seconds because they realize this is not for them. They don't want to waste any more of their time, any more of the other person's time. He goes, it's also selfish when you don't pretend like you like ideas that are crap. Hey, this is a great idea. I'll consider that. That's selfish when you pretend that you like the idea. It's also selfish when you don't commit to anything unless it's worth your time or it's in support of your goals. And so in this case, he says Scottie Pippen did what was right for himself, what he thought was right for himself. And like I told you, they won the championship that year, right? There was somebody one time that did really try. When I tell you, they tried to bury me. They tried to bury me. Tried to bury me, tried to ruin my reputation, tried to do all kinds of stuff. Didn't work. Haha, joke's on you. But They really tried. And at the end of the day, I was talking to somebody about it. I was like, I forgive this. I forgive this person. And this person was my friend for 17 years, worked for me, the whole thing. And I said, I forgive this person. I don't really care that the person did what they thought was best for them. If they thought those things were best for them to do, that's perfectly fine. The way you did it was specifically to do harm to me. And that's what I have the issue with. Just the way you did it. And so I don't think it's necessary that we try to get on people for doing what they think is best for them, as long as they're doing it in a way that's respectable to the people around them. You don't have to do things in a malicious way. You're going to let people down when you choose yourself. And it's interesting that when you choose yourself for sleep, when you choose yourself to eat, when you choose yourself to exercise, when you choose yourself to meditate and get your head right, nobody calls you selfish, even though you're doing those things for yourself. And that those are the things that you think are best for yourself: to eat, to sleep, to exercise, to meditate, right? Get your head right. Nobody's saying you're so selfish that you got to get enough sleep tonight. You're so selfish that you need to meditate, right? Why? Is that the case that they don't do that? It's because it's normal to them. It's because it's normal to them. When you choose things that are abnormal for them, or things that they don't understand or don't support, that's when they call you selfish. That's when they say you're selfish. That's when selfishness has a bad connotation. That's when selfishness is conceited, vain, self-centered, self-absorbed, egocentric. Right? So what do? According to what Tim Grover says in his book, he goes, so what we do is we call them cute names when it's something that they don't like, they don't approve of, or they don't understand. What are those cute names? This is a bucket list thing I got to do. It's on my bucket list. This is my man cave. He goes, this is me time. Excuse me, me time. This is girls' night out. So really, we're just giving them cute names because other people will call it selfish if we just give it the regular name, which is like, I don't want to talk to nobody. Like, I don't want to talk to nobody. Don't listen, babe, I love you, but please do not bring your sister over to the house today. Thank you. I don't want to be around anybody. If I had a quarter for every time I heard that, because I've heard that many times in the past. Oh, you're selfish. Maybe she or he just wanted some me time. And every weekend, there are people at the house, right? So they say me time or man cave, right? Oh, a woman has been taking care of the kids, taking care of her family, going to work, coming home, still cooking, getting kids ready for school, all these things. And now she just wants some time to go out to the club, go out with her girls, leave the kids. In order for her not to have mommy guilt, she has to call it girls' night out. And ladies, if you're for the ladies on here, mommy guilt is a real thing. Some of my clients have told me they feel guilty sometimes when they do something for themselves and they feel like they're supposed to do it for their children, and they could have done this for their children, but they did this for themselves instead. So they have to call it something different. Oh, it was a bucket list thing. I've always wanted to go to Greece. It was a bucket list thing. You know, it's unfortunate that when we choose ourselves, we get called names for it, so much so that we have to make up names for the things that we deserve for ourselves. Right? But here's the thing. You can't be great for anybody else unless you can first be great for yourself. I will repeat that one more time. You cannot be great for anybody else unless you can be great for yourself. At the end of the day, you can only give what you have. You can only give the time that you have left. You can only give the energy that you have. You can only give the finances that you have. You can only give the attention that you have. You can only give the skills that you have. You can only give what you have. So you have to put yourself first, which leads me to the end of this. Remember, years ago, this is maybe like 7 years ago, I was in, for those of you guys who don't, I've been in therapy since I was a child. So it's nothing new to me. I'm a big therapy person. So I was sitting in across from my therapist one time. At that time, my therapist's name was Kira. And I was telling her all the things that I was doing for like the people around me. And I was telling her, I'm tired, but like, you got to do what you got to do. And And I was just like listing off all the things. And she was like, but how does that like work for you, your ultimate goals, your health, your this, your that? I said, well, sometimes you got to make sacrifices, sometimes you got to make sacrifices. We got to we can't just always put ourselves first. We got to put other people first. That's what true love is. Like when you love people, you put their needs in front of your needs. And she gave me some look like, the what? I was like, yeah, like being selfless. Like, what I'm saying? Like you got to put other people's needs in front of yourself. Take a back seat. She goes, where did you learn that from? And I spoke about where I learned that from and stuff like that. And she said, you're not everybody's superhero, Jay. She said, you're not everybody's superhero. You're not even a superhero. But you're definitely not everybody's hero. She said, love yourself first, then you love everybody else. Because if you don't, you're not going to have anything left to give. She said, you could love people right just under you love yourself. But she said, you should never love anybody more than you love yourself. That's dangerous. And she never gave me advice before. Like she was one of those therapists that just lead you and guide you with a bunch of questions and you kind of get into the path of self-discovery. But she really felt like she needed to like knock some sense into me. At the time, I didn't get it. I was like, yeah, and I went back and forth with her. But over probably the next 6 to 12 months, I really started to understand. And I could hear her voice in my head each time. And I record my therapy sessions. So I can go back and listen to them and understand what I was saying at that time, so on and so forth. I must have listened to that recording like 15, 20 times over the years, that specific one, to remind myself that it's okay to be selfish. It's okay to be selfish. Because at the end of the day, if you can say that I need the outcome more than I need somebody else's approval, and you can say that I'm willing to live with the entire outcome, which would come with somebody being disappointed with me or somebody feeling like they don't like what I chose or I didn't consider them as much as I should, then I'm fine with it as long as I can live with the entire outcome. Selfishness is needed to win. Now, here's my thing. We're not going to confuse selfishness with greed. We're not going to confuse selfishness with greed. Greed is not needed for anything. Greed is not needed for anything. Greed is when you have an insatiable desire for more. In other words, you can't get rid of it. You just always want more. Like it will never be satisfied. You will never be content. You will never be fulfilled. You just want more and more and more. And you don't care how you get it. You'll step on whoever it is to get it. You're not considering anybody else, but yourself, that's greed. That's different from selfishness. Selfishness is putting your needs first, while greed is pushing people to the back with no regard. There's two different things here. You can still consider the other person's feelings. You could still consider the other person's position, excuse me, their thoughts, their time, or whatever, and still make the same choice that you need to make for yourself. Greed, you don't consider anything. You just keep going. And it's not even like it's in support of your health or ultimate goals. It's just in support of you wanting more. So there is a difference between greed and selfishness. All right? All right, y'all. We're going to wrap up there. I hope I hit the point home. Remember, just because you're selfish doesn't mean you're inconsiderate. You should still consider people's feelings. You should still consider how this affects other people. You should still consider how this makes you look on the grand scale. You should consider all those things. When you do consider all those things, you say, okay, is it still worth the outcome that I'm going to get? If the answer is yes, then you say, okay, and am I willing to live with the entire outcome here? And if the answer is yes, do it. Do it. And if the answer is no, then you're probably on the wrong track, but you'll know. There is a fine line between selfishness and greed. I ain't gonna lie, but just keep on the right side of it. Right, y'all? Appreciate everybody being here today. Today is the last live of, AM live of the week. We will not be on live this evening. We may be on live this evening / afternoon. Today's the Puff trial. I'm trying to get to the courts today at some point. I'm trying to get to the courts today. It's at 11. I have a really busy day today. So if I could zip down real quick, I will get that information for you guys. And if I do, I will go on live and I will read the judge's decision for you guys on Rule 29. Remember, today is Rule 29. The judge's decision will be today on whether or not they will throw out all charges. If they do not throw out all charges, then there will be sentencing next week, Friday, and I will be there for sentencing for sure next week, Friday. But today is, Rule 29 is today. So I'm going to see if I can do that. If I do that, then I will be on live later today. All right, y'all. Appreciate everybody being on. And Purpose 76 had a good point. Some people will always think their needs are more important. Their needs. I think you meant to say, will always think their needs important. I think you meant to say more important. And it's very true. And I'm not saying that your needs are more important in the world. I'm just saying that your needs are more important to you, for you, because you can't do anything if that's what you meant. I'm just saying to you, your needs need to be the priority. And remember, it's not wants, it's needs. If you need something, it's different than if you want something. If you want something, you're kind of going onto the side of greed now. If you need something, then that's different. If I need something in order to support the ultimate goal where everybody's going to win that I'm around, then that's different. But this is a good conversation to have because there's so much of a gray area. And I'll be honest with you guys. I would suggest you guys have these conversations within your group. I've had these conversations within my tribe, within my friend group and stuff like that. And they're good conversations to have because there's opinions on both sides. It's a very good conversation to have. Bring it up next time with friends at the dinner table or something. It's a good conversation to have because there's good points on both sides. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all being here. Go and be great. Greatness is a choice. You make the choice every single day.
Your rags in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us. Like a helicopter. Spin out your rags in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us. Oh, when me choppers them. 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 Rags with me, flash with me, rags with me, flash with me, rags with me, flash with me. Yo, spin your rags in the air like a chopper. Wave your rags like a helicopter. Spin out your rags in the air like a chopper. Round and round like a helicopter. Spin your rags in the air like a chopper. Wave your rags like a helicopter. Spin your rags in the air like a chopper. High choppers fly, helicopters. We drunk cause we drink like a fish in the water. So high is like the world spinning faster, dripping with sweat, but it don't really matter. The music making me ball out. We see ladies and we call out. Them girls and them whining all out. Look a fight in the back, them brawl out. What? Me no business for that. Girls on me mind, so me thinking about that. Woman in the place, so me hunting for that. Bumpers in me face, so me on the attack. Just give me Henny, yo, give me Stag. Racial thing, white oak, Johnny Black. Oh gosh, I got catch a jet lag. 1919 does have me feeling high like a helicopter. Spin out your rags in the air like a chopper. Hennessy punching Johnny Walker. Somebody tell the police they just can't stop us.